Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And you are the magician. You are the architect of your own reality. Okay. I think that you have gone through an intense period of sort of untying the karmic knots. The magician is the result of all of our spiritual work that we do. And it's your ability to really direct the forces of nature. It's your ability to adapt to a situation, to optimize any situation, or to change the situation altogether if it's not worth optimizing it. You know what I mean? This is a very adaptable card. I think you are someone very adaptable. But just because you can adapt doesn't mean you should, right? And so we need the wisdom to sort of know when we stay here and make it work and optimize it, and when we have to, change the environment, change our circumstances, put ourselves in a different place, This is, I find you to be a very intelligent person, but you're not one that flaunts it. You're not one that wants everybody to know how smart you are. It's sort of an under the surface kind of intelligence that you have, You probably speak a lot of different languages. You probably have a lot of scientific knowledge about things, but it's not something that you really express on a day-to-day. I almost wonder if you are working or sort of spending your time doing things that aren't utilizing all your skills and talents either, It's like, it's, somebody with a bunch of, scientific degrees or whatever from a university, and they're working somewhere else where those accomplishments aren't relevant, right? So I feel like, maybe for you it's learning, it's knowledge, it's wisdom, it's understanding for its own sake. Maybe it's not something that, for instance, you may have gone through a lot of training. You may have went to school for something very specific. But then you never really had the intention of doing it as a career. It's like, I just wanted the accomplishment. I just wanted to do it. I wanted to learn about it because I like it. I don't want to be doing it for money, for the rest of my life. And so I feel like there is that sort of thirst for knowledge in you, the thirst for understanding, to more than knowledge, for the understanding and the awareness. You want to immerse yourself in something, and it may be even temporary. It may not be something that I'm going to go to school, I'm going to learn engineering, and I'm going to be an engineer for the rest of my life, and that's what I want to do. No, I think you want to take a lot of courses and get the certificates and learn things and do things, but you want to sort of, it's just like another tool you're adding to your toolbox in a way. Yeah. Let's put this card into some context. The Magician card, let me start my timer here. The Magician card is one of the most complex cards of the tarot. Okay. And here we have, this is Mercury, right? Now we've got Mercury in Sagittarius. So I feel like you're ready for what's coming next, And this is sort of a mind that is interested in a million different things at once. Yeah, I like that. That fits very nicely into our reading so far. We've got a Prince of Pentacles. We've got a Nine of Cups. We've got a Prince. Okay. Here we go. I understand a little bit now. We got a Prince of Wands, the Prince of Pentacles, fire and earth, right? This is the process of manifestation, and this is what the magician is doing. This is what the magician is capable of doing. from energy to matter, right? It's the conversion of energy to matter, matter to energy. And it is the magician being the perfect conduit, the clear channel of the spiritual fire to the realm of earth. Okay, this is the magic of manifestation, these three cards. Okay, fire to earth with the conductor, the electrical conductor, but also the orchestra conductor, being the magician in the middle. Of course, we have some things to deal with as we are involved in that process. You know, we have some little bit of heart and mind and attention, sort of, the commitment may be involved in some of this. In other words, I feel like you're trying to pick something now that maybe you do want to devote your life to. Maybe you're sort of a jack of all trades, which is I'm kind of that way too. It's a wonderful energy to have. You know a lot about a lot of stuff, but maybe there's this idea now that you kind of want to see something through all the way till the end. That maybe it's like you want to finally like settle down and and get something that's going to be long-term, permanent, put down roots and really get established somewhere. It's kind of like we're tired of being out on the road. We're ready to come in and have a home base now, ready to work inside the office, let's say. We're going to finish up our cards here. We have a Princess of Wands. Yeah, that makes sense. We have the Emperor. Well, that's very good because the Emperor can control all of this fire energy. All of the, a Four of Pentacles, good. And Four of Swords. Okay, well, I like that. Especially since we have a Five of Swords, we start looking around for the Four. We have a Four. I think there's a decision that's being made. The Emperor can direct all of the attention. See, the Emperor is kind of like the proper functioning of the ego in that it is able to control what we're giving our attention to, where we are putting our sights, what we're giving our time and attention to. Yeah, I think it's good. I think we got some good stuff to work with here. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. That's going to go right here with Alien Simon Moore Gripley right there on top. Don't forget, Taurus, you are magic. We're not going to look at this card until the very end. It will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If you have a prediction for the card, put it in the comments down below. Let's do it together. Let's use our intuition. All right. Looking around the room, it's very interesting that we have two major arcana energies, the Magician and the Emperor. Now, the Magician is that perfect conduit between the fire and the earth. The problem is that the fire's kind of all over the place, right? Because we got that. So we need the Emperor to sort of pick a path, pick a lane, so that the Magician can do its job. And it's kind of like we have all these interests. We have an infinite number of choices, and we like them all equally. We value them all equally. We're making no difference between any one thing and any other thing. So how do we ever pick a thing, And maybe it's just a flip of the coin, a roll of the dice. Maybe it's just an arbitrary kind of random selection if everything is equal and it doesn't matter what we do, right? It does, though, especially when we're looking at these other energies. So we've got our two majors. We've got fire, fire, and fire. We've got water back here, And I think that this is really, the card of happiness. That's what the key word is here. The card of happiness, the card of defeat. And we're trying to sort of, obviously we want happiness. We don't want to feel defeated. It could be that you're having a little bit of a problem choosing a path because one path, maybe you think, oh, that's going to make me happy. But on the other hand, it sort of feels like you're giving in. You're succumbing to the pressures of the world, and you're sort of listening to what you're acquiescing to what your parents have been telling you. You got to pick, you got to have a goal, you got to pick a path in life, pick a career, pick a major, or whatever it is. You got to settle down. And so it's kind of like we're juggling, the heart and the mind, where it's like the heart just wants to be happy, wants to sort of live the dream. But on the other hand, it's the mind that kind of is sort of confused about maybe what actually is going to make you happy, right? And what's going to, how can we make a decision and then be okay with it? How can it be stabilized? How can it be like a long-term kind of thing, Because you've got this 8 of Wands right here in the middle, and this is, the magician can't have 8 wands. The magician is one wand. The magician is the first mystery of the tarot. It's a one, it's a unity. It's talking about the will, the conduit for the spiritual energy is one path. It's one fire to earth. And I think that your energy is being pulled in a lot of different directions right now. Okay? Whereas all you really truly want is just a life that's happy, that's satisfying, that has meaning and purpose and all this kind of stuff. But it's hard to figure out which one of these wands the magician should focus on. And maybe it's not even an idea of focusing on one for the rest of your life, but let's pick one for right now. Let's pick one to get all the way down to the earth energy here and to stabilize it, because I think maybe there's a misconception. Because we've got the 4s over here, but anytime we get a 4, we start looking around for the 5 again. So it's sort of an inevitability that we're going to get these 4s. We're going to stabilize, solidify something. You're going to accomplish a goal. You're going to go from fire to earth. You're going to convert energy into matter through the Magician card on one particular line of effort. Okay. But I think the misconception is that that's going to be the end of it. That has to be the last thing. That has to be the forever thing. And so there's sort of a stigma against being the jack of all trades, because then you're a master of none, right? But I think that's really a misconception. I don't know how the rest of the quote goes. I think better than being a master of one or something like that. So it's not that we're going to be stuck in these choices, And especially when we get to the 4 of Swords, it's kind of like you're accepting the fact that you're never going to be just perfectly content with any particular thing, because we know the 4s are impermanent. So you're accomplishing these goals, but you need more goals, right? So the 8 of Wands then becomes not an enemy, not an energy we don't want, but this becomes the way of happiness. This becomes how you are going to be happy, right? Because this is you always having an idea of what to do next, right? It kind of relates to my problem I used to talk about a lot was, in the evenings I have maybe an hour that I get to read a book. And so most nights I spend my time trying to decide what book to read. And so the hour goes by, I don't read anything, right? Because I sort of, I start thinking about one, or I start looking at one, I think, yeah, this would be good. But then I think, but I don't want to commit to this because this is going to be forever, and I'm going to miss out on all these other great books that I have that I want to read, And so I say, well, maybe I'll read this one over here, and then it's the same process. But we have to remind ourselves is it's not a forever thing. We can read we can sort of do more. We can read more than one book at a time. Okay, and that's sort of what I've started doing, was sort of alternating every other day. I switch between 2 or 3 different books. And in fact, it's worked out really well, because now I've almost finished reading The Egyptian, Mika Waltari, one of my favorite books of all time. I'm actually sad that I'm on the last few pages. I know I could read it again. But it's the way that we can accomplish things, and always feel as if we've got something new and exciting that we're engaged in. Because the 8 of Wands it wants to read 1,000 books at once. It has such a difficult time deciding on anything. And it really is, we're reaching out in one direction and coming back. We're reaching out in another direction, coming back. And so there's a lot of effort in this, but there's not a lot of movement. And I think you're discovering the secret of that. And you're discovering how it really is about the commitment. It's sort of in a way just saying, just pick one and finish it, and then decide on another one and finish it. And so we can take all of these 1, 2, 3 at a time if you want, but you're getting stuff done. You're taking this sort of long-term goal of just like living this happy, satisfying, and productive life, of this 9 of Cups. And you're just taking it in small chunks. Okay, well, this is going to be a month. I'm going to read these 2 books. And then next month, I'm going to read these 2. And maybe we don't even have to plan that far ahead. Because for me, I start reading a book and then the back of my mind starts thinking, well, that other book is back there. Go get that other book. Go get that other book. And sometimes we just have to be that magician and just say, I'm going to commit to this thing until I can finish it, until I can optimize it. Again, we've got this magician energy right in the middle that has this tremendous power, but it's kind of being dissipated, right, in all these other directions. So I feel like we need to sort of narrow things down. And we've got this builder underneath everything. Now, this, I should point out, is the Prince of Pentacles. This is your superhero card, right? This is your energy. This is your ability to kind of persistently show up every day and work at something and build something. This is your this is your commitment to it. This is the builder. This is not the one that's worried about what am I going to do. This is the one that's just doing it. Something else has decided. Our higher spiritual energy has decided, and now this is just us doing it. This is me reading the book, trying to get through a few pages before I go to sleep every night. I'm not thinking, do I want to read a different book? What book's coming next? Is this really the book I like? No, I like the book, even challenging books, The Egyptian is an easy book to read because I love this story so much. This is not that energy. This is just us doing the thing. Okay, so we're sort of compartmentalizing our energies a little bit. We're letting the emperor make the decisions, and then we're just following through with them, knowing that we've already made the decision. So when you're in the middle of doing it, we don't need to worry about it. We don't need to think about, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? What am I going to do next? We don't need to do that. Okay. So I don't know if we're talking mostly about sort of your just like hobbies, if we're talking about your extracurricular activities, maybe we're talking about literally things in university that you want to do or things in life that you want to do. These are life readings, okay? And I think that you're somebody who really likes novelty. You really like diversity. You like sort of new things all the time, And I think that is wonderful. Like, we're not trying to lose that energy, but we're trying to channel it in a way that we can start manifesting some of these things that you are interested in, and realizing that this is the path for a fulfilling life for you. Okay, and this is the builder, right? And now behind the builder, we've got the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is all about happiness. This is the dream that keeps on dreaming. This is the life that keeps on living, right? This is physical, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative, satisfaction, fulfillment, right? And abundance. Yeah. And so this is the life that you want to live. And this is not an even number, right? This is not a state of things. This is a way of life. And so I think you're coming to the realization that your life needs a continued sort of flow. I don't feel like you're the person that can just tie themselves down to one thing forever. Okay. You like the variation in life. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of following through and producing things. And now, see, that's the point here, is that just because you have this 8 of Wands feeling about you right now, the need for diversity, the interest in so many different things, it doesn't mean that you're not capable of actually reaching the goals, and producing the things and finishing, let's say, finishing the book, right? Because you can. And the problem, I think, a lot of the time is the commitment of the fire energy. The Prince of Wands is up here because this is your ability to maintain the path, maintain the pace, keeping the pace, right? Even when you get bored a little bit, even when that Eight of Wands starts to sort of creep up and you start feeling a little anxious, like I should be reading a different book, or this is boring, I want to do something else now. Or even that feeling of, I've been stuck doing this, I'm missing out on so many other exciting things that I want to be doing in life. Yeah. This is the ability to push through that, because pushing through will bring the rewards. Okay, and again, I don't know what this is really referring to, if it's career, if it's work, if it's college, university, whatever. It could be relationships even, okay? I think it's life, though. I think it's generally just about life and your way of life and the level of happiness and satisfaction that you want for yourself. This is the ability to keep going with something, even though we're starting to feel a little bit bored or whatever. This is keeping the pace. When I'm getting through those boring chapters of the book, I'm still trying to read the same number of pages. I'm not trying to go faster just to get it done. I'm not going slower because I'm bored and I'm daydreaming about other things. I'm just trying to stay consistent and get through this boring section of the book or whatever. And, and finish it. And finishing something, even if it's something that small, that sort of, insignificant almost, it feels good, right? To follow through with something and bring it to completion or fruition feels very good. It's adding to your Nine of Cups. It's an accomplishment, no matter how small. And so in some ways, we can start this in very small ways. We could take very simple things that, might only take a few hours to complete, or a day or two. If I spend 5 minutes on something for a week, then at the end of the week I'll have something, to show for it. And I think that's something that you could try. Now, I don't know, there's a lot of different things. We can find really, really small books, really short sort of books that we could read. Maybe not small books, it'd be hard to read. But things that aren't going to take years and years and years to accomplish. But we can try to just sort of break things down into smaller smaller goals, or smaller chunks of larger goals, right? In the future position, of course, we have the Five of Swords, which is, I think the Five of Swords is kind of coming at the wrong place in the reading. Right? Because this is, it's like as soon as you sort of realize that, okay, I got to pick something, we have a difficult time, we have sort of too many thoughts, too much movement in our heads about what to pick. And so we sort of feel that, like, the end of the hour is here and I haven't picked a book to read because I haven't been able to decide on the dang book, right? But this is coming too quickly, right? We're trying to figure out what to do. Well, we figured something out. Why now are we second guessing it? Why now are we trying to figure out what to do next? It's like I've picked a book, I've read a couple of pages, but in my mind I'm still thinking, what book should I read? This is coming at the wrong place. This is sort of out of order, right? I expect it to sort of be up here, because if the Four of Swords were here, I'd say, okay, I've picked a book, I've stopped worrying about it. I've rested my mind. I am no longer trying to figure it out. I'll try to figure it out later. When I'm done with this one, then I'll start having that mental deliberation, right? But we start the mental deliberation before we even get a page or two into the thing. All right. Let's talk about the Path of the Serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free, doesn't cost anything. Helps out the channel, and I appreciate that. So we've got the Princess of Wands, and I think this is part of the problem, is that we love starting things. We love the beginning, the first few days, the first couple of paragraphs of the book, are so exciting. But then we sort of realize, like, oh, this is going to be a long book. It's going to be a difficult subject. I don't know anything about quantum mechanics. I don't know that I'm going to be bored, So then we start we're already in our heads thinking about what we want next, or what we should do instead, or what would have been the better choice. Pretty soon all of our time is wasted, And I'm using the analogy of the books, but this is really about life. It's about everything that we want to do. Okay? It may seem like a silly reading. I was talking about books. This is everything. Everything that we need to commit to, every choice that we have before us, right? Big choices and the little ones. But this is that energy that really likes to start new things, and that goes along perfectly with our Eight of Wands. The energy that would be sufficient to accomplish one thing quickly and significantly is sort of wasted in all of these deliberations, all of these other energies, all of this sort of, I don't know what to even call it, in our Eight of Wands, let's say that. And so we really enjoy the beginnings of things. We like to start the new things, but it's difficult for us to sustain that effort even when, even when we've sort of made the commitment, but we are inevitably going to fall into this Five of Swords. This is right in the middle of the reading. This is a central card, But the Emperor, I think, is the perfect card to have for this, because the Emperor is basically the willpower. The Emperor is basically the one in charge. It is the ego functioning properly under the sort of authority of the divine nature of spirit, right? Spirit directing the ego to sort of, to pick something, follow through with it to completion before starting something new. So it almost is taking some of the burden off of the mental energy. I don't have to worry about what I'm doing now because I've already decided. That part of me, that part of my energy or of spirit has already decided what to do. So I've removed these for now, and I can just do this, right? And then once I've satisfied myself that this is sort of a job well done, okay, well now I can see what I'm interested in next, and I can start making plans to do the next thing. And of course then the executive function, your sense of agency here, is able to direct the fire energy and say, okay, we're going to do this thing now, so we can take these away for the time being. And it really is a process of you accomplishing things, right? We've got the Fours next, and the Fours are sort of gentle energies, right? Stable, restful. It's not motion. It's not something moving around. But the Four of Pentacles is in the position of what we don't want. When we're over here, we don't want this. When we're over here, we don't want the boring routine thing. I don't want to say, oh, it's 10 o'clock at night. I guess I've got to read that same book again for an hour, boring, and it's routine, So when we're over here on the path of the dove, routine is not what we want. The predictability, the familiarity, the comfortability is not what we want. Again, you like novelty, you like the new, you like the beginning of things and, the excitement of that. And it's very interesting and we get enthusiastic about it. We don't want the boring old routine sort of thing day after day. Night after night, it's the same thing. But when we get to the path of the serpent, we realize this is what we need. We need to get into that routine. We need to be able to stabilize our energy, right? And even the Emperor is suggestive of that because it's the fourth mystery of the tarot. The Emperor is card number 4. So it's even suggesting that we're taking all of this fire energy and we're putting it into a stable configuration for now. It's kind of like you're camping for the night and you get your stones, you put them in a circle, you get your wood, you stack them up, lean them up or whatever. You get your kindling, you light the campfire. It's a nice, wonderful campfire. You can do your marshmallows, make your s'mores. You can gaze into the fire, it's warm, you can dry your socks, it's wonderful, right? It doesn't mean you're going to live there forever. Because eventually, maybe the next morning, you're going to get up, fire's going to die down, You're going to put some water on it, put some dirt on it or whatever. You're going to put all the stones back where you found them. You're going to sweep away your tracks, and it's like you were never there, right? You get to move on. You get to keep exploring, and you're going to find a new campfire later. And that's sort of the Four of Pentacles, any of the fours really. It's a temporary configuration, a temporary manifestation of energy that says, yeah, your attention, your will, your time and space is sort of locked up in this configuration for now. And that's the lesson of the fours, is that they are impermanent. Okay, but we sometimes get a four. A lot of us, we get the four and we feel like, oh God, this is forever. I don't want it. No way. Get it out of here. I don't want that. Nope. Because we feel as if it's permanent. And some of us try very hard to make them permanent. You know, we cling to things that we don't want to let go of, hoping that something will be. I think you have the opposite problem, you know, is that you don't want anything to stick to you. You know, because then you feel sort of tied down and limited. Yeah. The four is also about those accomplishments of those incremental goals. That the way for you to achieve the happiness and satisfaction and the abundance in your life is to have the commitment to follow through with what your intentions are, piece by piece, chunk by chunk, short-term goals. Short-term goals with an eye on the longer term, but not too much, because then we start to get sort of anxious and worried, you know. So I think for you it really is about the short-term goals now. And the Four of Swords is perfect too, because even though I feel like these cards should be swapped out, having the approach of the short-term goals is a way for you to relax your mind. The Four of Swords is, yes, it is rest. It is, everyone says the Four of Swords is supposed to mean rest, right? Yes, the tarot cards can't be pigeonholed in that way. These are living energies. We can't just say, oh, Four of Swords, that means rest, right? Well, yeah, but let's say it's rest of the mind. It's a relief from the worry, from the stress, from the deliberation that we're, you know, temporarily, again, it's temporarily, we've made a decision, we're not arguing about it, that it's not going on in our heads where we're having that conversation. And it's like, and you can look at somebody and be like, you're worried about it, aren't you? You're thinking about what book, aren't you? And you can ask my wife, Ula, Lenore, she does tea leaf readings at Ula. Tea leaf readings. She knows when I'm in my head thinking about what book I'm going to read tonight, or what book I'm going to read next. And she'll just ask me, have you figured out the book yet? I'm like, how did you know I was thinking about that? You can tell. And so the Four is sort of a peacefulness, you know? It's just saying, this is a card called Truce. I'm not fighting about it now. I will. I'm not worried about it now. I was deliberating about it, and I will be deliberating and worrying about it and stressing about it soon. But right now, I'm not. Because I've made the decision, I've made the commitment. I'm going to follow through with it, short-term goals. It's only going to take a week or a month or a year or whatever. And then I can figure out what's coming next. Then I can have this excitement. See, really, it's our desire. That we desire this immediate gratification. I like reading a new book every day, every 5 minutes, because it feels good. You know, it's exhilarating. It's a desire. Yeah, it's a gratification. So we can have that, and that's very motivating. We have to just be able to channel that into these short-term accomplishments, short-term goals that I think are going to lead to the overall improvement of the quality of your life, the satisfaction, the depth, and the meaning of your life. Yeah. Let's look at the mystery card. And that might change everything, right? What if this is the card of long-term goals? It could be a 10 of Pentacles. It could be the Wheel of Fortune, I think would be wonderful. It could be another 9 of Cups. What do you think it is? Put something down in the comments. Yeah. I feel like either a 9 or a 10 or a major arcana. Let's see. The Chariot. The Chariot is not so much about long-term goals, but it is about a consistent path. It is about progress through discipline and devotion. right? But we think of the chariot, we think of a traveler. We think of that person who's going and establishing the campfire, enjoying the camp, enjoying the people here and the fire and the whatever food you're eating. But then next day, moving on, keep going. And then establishing that fire again. And the excitement of putting it together and building it up, and then the relaxation, the rest, of doing it, of just being there for that time. But it's impermanent, and it's part of a larger journey that we need not worry about all the time, And maybe that's it. Maybe you're thinking long term so much that it's just, you don't know what you want to commit to right now because you feel like, well, that's going to be forever. I think that if we're too conscious about the roots that we're trying to set down, we might not really be willing to put any roots down. We just sort of have to do what we do and try to, I think, short-term goals, these sort of incremental accomplishments, and that sort of, the roots are going to grow on their own. It's kind of like you're sort of growing a plant here. We don't worry about the roots. If the plant is growing and feels good and there's fruit that's coming off it, we can assume the roots are pretty nice. Yeah. So this is a devotion to our sort of long-term life and happiness, and this is the discipline to sort of keep traveling, but not worrying so much about the destination, just sort of enjoying this leg of the journey. And, what we're doing right now is, again, it's kind of the short term, sort of breaking the journey up into chunks, I like it. I think this is very good energy for you. I think this is a wonderful spread of cards. We're going to do an extended reading too. If you want to stick around, there's a link up top. There's one down below. New readings for Taurus Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It is totally free. It doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.